All right. So there are no questions about the homework, and we can now start to, talk about assembly language programming. This one here is mostly just historical. Okay, I'm sure some of you have clicked on this link, so we'll just go ahead and take a quick look. Okay, this part is mostly just historical because I don't use Knoppix anymore. Okay, a long time ago I used Knoppix, and now that I know how to make my own distribution, I don't really need to use Knoppix anymore. And we are not even installing Debian, anymore. The virtual machine that you guys got from me, it's already installed. Everything is already installed, and you just have to set up your own account and start to use it as a tool for programming. So for the most part, 1.2, section 1.2 is no longer relevant. 1.3 is no longer relevant because we don't use power anymore. Okay, so that goes away. So you can probably start with 1.4, which talks about Unix or Linux in general. And this is something that you do have to learn on the fly. You'll be surprised, at a 4-year university, what kind of stuff you're supposed to learn on the fly. When I took operating system at a 4-year university, now when we talk about operating system here, at ARC, we're talking about how to use Windows or how to use Linux. When you talk about an operating system class at a 4-year university, you're talking about how to write an operating system. So there's a slight difference between the two. When I took the class, it's called, Operating Systems at San Francisco State University, which is not particularly well known for its computer science department, I had to learn C programming on the fly. Now, I did have a class in Pascal and a class in assembly language programming, but C was completely new at that time. And we had to learn how to program in C on the fly. There was no separate class to teach you C. The professor just tells you, well, guess what? You have to use C to write this operating system or make modifications to an operating system. And the whole class just learned C, on the fly, just learned as quickly as they possibly can, to get the homework assignments done. So that's the kind of, on-the-fly learning that I'm talking about. But here, but then we did not have a lot of resources that you guys do now. So things are not quite the same anymore. We'll only use a small fraction of the tools that we'll talk about, like the assembler. And I have a link, not from here, but there's a link, from the main page, to that page, to that particular manual. For the most part, if you want to learn how to use a Linux command, you can use the command called man, which stands for manual. And you can use that to look up how to use different commands. I will just go ahead and illustrate here. For instance, what command did we use for the homework assignment? We had su, sudo, mkdir, cd, and so on. So I'll just go ahead and man mkdir. And here we have the man page or the manual page of make directories. And this is a really, if you look at this and you compare this to all the other online instructions that you get these days on the web, this is really archaic. There's no hyperlink. There are no pictures, no flash animation whatsoever. It's all text. Well, but it's nice because you can run it using just a terminal. And it has all the useful information here already. Okay? In other words, you can supply a -m as an option to specify the mode of the directory that you're making. You can specify -v for verbose, and you will find that many commands have will recognize -v to specify verbose, and so on. And you can also look up the other commands like sudo. What does it do? Okay, sudo executes a command as another user. That's its purpose. Okay. You can also look up su, change user ID or become super user. Okay, and that's something that we had to do in order to switch to the new user that we have created. We have also used add user. Okay, so you can see that most, if not all, of the commands that we have used so far, each one has an entry in the man page system. when you use the man page, there's no need to go out to the internet, which is nice. Because you can basically have no connection whatsoever, and you will still be able to find this information in order to use the command line. So, are there any questions about how to find help when you need to learn how to use a particular command?
Is there something in the system that shows you all the available commands? We don't have to go online for it.
Yes, you can do a man. There's a repository to store all the pages. I'm not sure where that is located. I think it's ManDB. There we go. So when you look into user share man, and each one of these directories from man 1 to man 8, I believe, has all the man pages. These are all subfolders of individual man pages. So there are many man pages. So let me see if I can man 1. Oh, well, just under topic 1 there are 1,456 entries. So knock yourself out.
There's about 10,000 commands.
I don't know. I don't know for sure. Now, if you know that you are looking for a command to do something, but you don't know exactly what the command is, you can also use the -k option to help you. In other words, you can say man-k, which searches for keywords. Okay, -k stands for keyword. So you can say, well, let's say directories. Okay, so this will locate all the commands that has something to do with directories. Okay. Sometimes it will give you a really long list, which makes it not very useful. But other times, if you can specify a keyword that is really specific, it can give you something that's really relevant. Okay. Are there any questions? Yeah.
When it's looking for the keyword, what does it look at? Does it check the body of the thing, or does it check the...
It looks into this part here. It looks into the the main. Just the one sentence abbreviation or the one sentence summary of that command. Okay. What if you want to know how to use man itself?
Man.
You say man.
Man.
And now it tells you all the options of using the tool called man. Okay, isn't that nice?
I think the first thing we should say is, wait, if you're using this command, don't you know what man is?
Okay. Yeah, well, there are other jokes too that I cannot tell in the class. Because, are there any questions about how to find help in terms of using the different commands? We use SSH keygen, and guess what? That also has an entry. Okay. So just about any command line commands has an entry in the man page system. Yep.
I did have one question.
Yep.
When we generate our keys,
Key pair.
are you using those to grade our papers?
I'm not using that to grade your paper. I'll be looking for submissions with identical key pairs.
Okay. I just want to make sure if I switch which environment I'm using midway through the semester, it's not another thing.
Yeah, all you need is just something that is unique, and you have to, as Christ sent an email about regarding the key pair, so you only have to include what?
I just posted it to the forum. I didn't send an email.
Yeah, but everybody can see it. Yep. So basically, you just have to include a .pub file and not include your private key. But a virtual machine, is fairly safe, so I just I just try to make it easy and just send me the whole folder. Okay. So are there any questions about this part here? How to learn the various commands? And in this class, I think at the most we'll be using like 12, 13 commands out of the entire library of Linux commands. So it shouldn't be too much. So inside man, okay, you can use Q to quit. In other words, when you're looking up a particular command, let's say man here, the question is, how do I get out? Okay, you use page up, page down to change the page. and and you're done, how do you get out? You can use Q to get out. Q will get you out of the pager. And I think it has its own online help. Let's see, H. Okay, if you type H in man, it actually explains all the different keys that you can use inside the pager itself. Okay, so these are all really useful stuff, because you can see that man itself has a lot of useful feature. Like if you press the / key, it allows you to search within the man page for certain patterns, text patterns. Okay, this is regular expression stuff, which means you can quickly locate what you want to find within a really, really long man page. Okay. Any questions about using the man system? Questions? Okay. So there are several commands that you probably want to know how to use. One is VI or VIM. I only have VI installed, with the ISO image that I give you guys. But if you want to include VIM or VI improved, I can actually add it to the ISO and then redistribute the ISO itself. Yes.
If we want to do that, we'd all have to reseed.
You can all, yes. And then the other one is called Nano. Nano is a little bit easier to use, as many of you found out. You can see the clues. The caret symbol, the little up arrow symbol, that means control. Okay, so that means when you press Control O, you can specify, I want to write the content to the file, and so on. LS is like dir in DOS. It basically lists the content of a particular folder. It doesn't have to be the home folder. It doesn't have to be the current folder. You can actually supply an argument to specify, okay, I want to know the content of that particular folder. We have CP for copying files. We have MV for moving or renaming files. In other words, when you use MV, and the destination and the target are both in the same directory, it is rename. If the target and the source are in different directories, then it is actually moving the file from one place to another place. Okay, so both of those things are accomplished by a single command. RM is to delete a file or a folder. Okay? And obviously, you have to be careful when you use certain options with RM, because you can potentially delete an entire folder recursively if you use the wrong options. MKDIR, we know about this one already, creating a new folder. We have man, the manual viewer. AS is our assembler. We currently we don't have a whole lot of needs to use AS at this point, except for the example that is following this page. LD is our linker. Make is a utility program to automatically execute programs to create resolved dependencies. Okay, it's not even just used for software development. All it does is to resolve dependencies. We'll talk about make like in mid-semester or so. Yep.
I've got a case where I'm using it for security deployment. It's a very versatile tool.
Which one?
Security. I'm generating security keys using make.
Yeah, it's a dependency resolver.
It's awesome for everything.
Yep. If you can express dependency between several files, and you can specify the tools to go from one file to the next, make can make it happen automatically. So that's how useful make is. PS will allow you to specify or list processes, which is really useful when you have runaway programs and you want to stop them. CAT is a really interesting program because it doesn't seem to do much. All it does is to concatenate files to an output. It does about the same job as type in DOS, TYPE type in DOS. But it has many, many other applications as well. But for the most part, in this class, we don't really use CAT too much. You will see that I use CAT for